Well, I'm back after a long layoff. If you don't remember who I am, my name is Fred Hughes. I'm an Amazon best-selling author. The name of the show is The Next Chapter, where I talk about all things concerning the written word. I think the last time I spoke with any of you was back in October. What caused the delay? Why the big gap? Life gets in the way sometimes for all of us. I do this show because I enjoy interacting with the fans and trying to teach all of you a little bit about what authors do for a living and how to write. If you already have stuff written, how to get it out there. If you have stuff out there, how to get it, sell more of it. But like I said, sometimes life gets in the way. Since the last time I spoke, had some personal tragedy in the family. I don't really want to get into it because it's in the past now. But now I'm handling the estates of three different relatives, and none of them are here local to me, so I have to do quite a bit of traveling. So between dealing with the losses, obviously inferred from me having to handle the estates of relatives, and then actually having to go back and forth and deal with lawyers and deal with Lord knows who, deal with relatives with sticky palms, for one. Um, I've not had a lot of time. And then on top of that, we had the holidays and everything else between since the last time I spoke with you. So all of that got in the way. And then, Murphy's Law says that when it rains, it's going to pour. I ended up getting a little touch of the COVID. So since mid-October, I have really been not with it. I've even I had to struggle to finish books that I had committed to having done. So, but I'm back and actually regenerated quite a bit. I feel good, everything else. So, what are we going to do new in the new year? This is season 2, episode 1. And we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to continue to interview authors. Last season, I was very ambitious and tried to do a show a week or at least 3 shows every 4 weeks, and it really got to wear on me. So I'm only going to do a show every other week now. That'll help me get and provide better content. I'm not saying that the people I got on the show weren't good guests. They all brought something. They all told, stories about either how they started, how they write, how to get your book published, etc. So, but doing it every 2 weeks lets me prepare better for the shows. So we're going to have new guests. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. AI is going to become a big deal. It already is a big deal in the writing community. It's a big deal in no matter what you do for a living. AI is a big deal. And there are quite a few authors who are very much into using AI. Now, I'm not saying that they use AI to actually write their stuff. I'm sure all of you have been hearing the stories and maybe even seen the ads on Facebooks or the posts on Facebooks where there are some people out there. There are some what I would call vanity publishing houses. And I think, we've talked about them before, how you give, that they charge you money for them to publish your work. And now they've gone to the point where you give them an idea, give them a storyline, maybe 1,000 words worth of work, pay them X amount of money, and they will use an AI to create your book for you. and then obviously turn right around and charge you to publish that book on Amazon. Um, I'm also sure that a lot of you are aware that you can download AI programs, or download programs or apps on your phone, off on the computer, whatever, that are called basically call them AI spotters. You can feed a book or a text or whatever into it, and the program will tell you whether it was generated by an AI or generated by a human. Um, there are some authors, and I'm not going to mention names, though some of them may appear on the show, that are very anti-AI. They don't have anything to do with AI. From not wanting AIs to create their cover art to not having AIs have anything to do with the written word. And to those people, um, I say, every one of you are already using AI in one form or another. Um, if you're using Word, which most, at least I do, a lot of authors do, if you're using Word to create your document and you use the editor inside Microsoft Word, that meets the criteria for what most people refer to as an AI. Now, we all know that the AIs we're talking about are not true AIs in the realm of they're not true artificial intelligences. They are just very complex computer programs which do very rapid word searches and come up with alternative phrases for a sequence of words that it reads in your documents. So Word goes through, in Word, your editor program searches for misspelled words, searches whether or not you have commas in the right spots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's artificial intelligence, for lack of a better word, will highlight them and show them to you. I think I've talked about it that I use a program called Pro Writing Aid that I run when I'm writing my book. It runs in the background. It runs inside of Word, and it does the same thing, but even on a larger scale. It will tell me, "Oh, do you realize that you've started the last three sentences with the word the?" Or you've been using the word great a lot. Maybe you should cut back and maybe this time use the word successful. So Pro Writing Aid does all of that, and it does even a better job of spelling and punctuations and everything else. It will also tell you whether you're writing in past tense or current tense. It does a lot of things, and it's all AI. By the current definition of AI, that is. So any author that's telling you they are AI free is either, I don't want to say they're lying. That infers that they're trying to deceive you. They're not deceiving you. In their mind, they're not using AI. They just don't realize that some of the everyday tools that they are using are AI. So we're going to talk about AI. One of the other things we're going to talk about is that, believe it or not, just like everything else in the economy, selling books is a function of the economy. When the economy is going through certain phases, like it is now, book sales slow down because readers, most people who have, they buy ebooks or real books or audiobooks or whatever using what most of us refer to as disposable income. And a lot of people are holding on to their disposable income and are not buying books. If they have a favorite author and he puts a book out, they'll buy it. But they're not going to spend money on a new book, which for new authors putting books out there can make it very hard to, and to sell books and be humbling. So, off of the soapbox. Today's going to be a solo show with me. In the next segments, we're going to talk about what I've been doing and what I'm going to do, and a little bit of background on how I got started in the business. So, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how Fred Hughes got started as an author and why. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter. Welcome back. This is the next chapter. I'm Fred Hughes, and as promised, we're going to talk about how I got started in the business and why I got started in the business. Well, first of all, way back in January of 2020, and early 2020 is important. The dates are important because the dates have a lot to do with what happened and what caused me to enter this career. First off, I never considered myself an artistic person. Never. I used to make comment that I'm a historian by passion and an engineer by trade. I spent 20 years in the service, basically as an enlisted guy, helping to operate and maintain the nuclear power plants on submarines. So trained in mechanical systems, got out of the service, and then spent another 25 or so years working in supervisory and management capacities, fixing, in maintenance, basically working for a number of large companies that some of you might have heard of. I spent some time working for Coca-Cola. I spent some time working for Pepsi. I worked for Smith & Wesson, making handguns, and which might have been other than writing, might have been the best job I ever had. Worked for Pinnacle Foods, which the plant I worked in for Pinnacle made barbecue sauce and wishbone salad dressing. But let's get back to January of 2020. The company I was working for, I was hired because I had experience building new facilities. So I was managing or supervising the maintenance team in one of the manufacturing facilities and also overseeing the construction of a brand new facility. Well, the new facility opened. The company shut down its 3 smaller existing facilities and moved everything into one building. And they came to me and said, we used to have 3 plants. We had 3 maintenance managers. We only need 1 now. Thank you very much. So suddenly some people would call it a reduction in force. I took the severance and decided, I've been busting my butt for the last year and a half. I'm going to sit at home and enjoy a little vacation. And naturally, this happened right after the holidays, but oh well. So I sat on my butt from mid-January to mid-February and then began looking for a job. And everybody knows what happened in early 2020. COVID hit, and it didn't really hit hard till March, but I started, submitting job applications, doing interviews, doing Zoom call interviews, just like I'm talking to you folks now. And as things were progressing to next level interviews where I would be invited to come and interview in person, all of a sudden COVID hit and all the restrictions associated with it. Companies stopped hiring. Companies weren't going to bring people in to do face to face. And since in my line of work, everything is face to face, you have to be in the manufacturing plant to do it. Getting another job didn't look like it was going to happen anytime soon. So I sort of said, screw it, have my military retirement. I can draw Social Security. I'm just going to hang it up and retire. So submitted all the paperwork, and the wife came to me and said, what are you planning on doing? And before I could answer, she said, you're not sitting on the back deck smoking cigars, listening to Audible books. You have to do something. Write the damn book that you've been kicking around in your head since I've known you. Now, my wife, I love her to death. And yes, I had been writing a book in my head for a long time. I think I've mentioned it before. I suffered, and still on occasion still do, from anxiety. And that led to depression, and that led to anger issues and a variety of other things. So I used to, at night, to try to quiet my very busy mind, I would write a novel in my head. And I'd been doing this for a good 5, 6, 7 years. Never got more than maybe a chapter or two in it and then started over again. But the general idea was there. So I start writing the book. That started April of 2020. And the book that became The Prince Awakens, the first book in the Prince of Britannia series, was finished by Christmas of 2020. So here I am, early 2021, a finished book, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? And I got the bright idea. You know what? It would be nice in my obituary if I could put down published author. So I started investigating how I could self-publish the book, because I knew nothing about the industry, didn't know anything else. So what happens? I research, okay, reading everything. Oh, I need to get this edited. So I searched, found a cheap editor, paid, at the time, I thought was a good price, nearly $2,000 to get the story edited. And got it edited, got it back, found someone that would create a cover for me. It was actually pretty cheap. And on the 21st of February of 2021, The Prince Awakens went up on Amazon for sale. And I don't want to say the rest is history, because I didn't do it right. The editor that I spent $2,000 for didn't do all that great a job. And to compound that issue, I didn't know how to accept the edits. So literally, the story I put up originally on Amazon that I'd spent a good deal of money to have edited, I didn't accept the edits right. So most of the problems that the editor had fixed, I didn't accept the corrections, so they were still in the manuscript. So there were tons of grammatical errors. There were tons of spelling errors. Because, oh, by the way, Word doesn't catch everything. And I started getting a lot of comments about, love the story, you need to get an editor. And I'm going, well, crap, I spent $2,000 on an editor. So while it was still up, I went through and fixed as much as I could, or as much as I could figure out. And then, I think it got to like revision 2 or 3, and then left it up and decided, okay, what's next in my life? And when we come back from the break, we'll talk about what's next. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter, come back and see what happens next. Welcome back. It's Fred Hughes in the next chapter. And when we took a break to pay bills, I was talking about how I had my first book up and how I screwed up putting my first book up, which isn't uncommon to an author who has no clue what he's doing, and how I went about fixing it. So anybody that pulls me up and looks will see that I now have, how many books do I have? 9, 12, 14 books up on Amazon under my own name, and 3 anthologies containing short stories that I have a short story in. So I have a fair number of books that are out there that started coming out in April of 2021, and it's February of 25. So 4 years, I've accomplished a lot. So first book is up. Had no intention on writing a follow-up book, even though I wrote the first book so that follow-up books could be written. And I actually decided I was bored. COVID had, the worst of it was past. There were job opportunities. So I decided to go back in the workforce. So I go back and I'm working in the maintenance field. And I'm looking at what my book's doing, and I've got people who are buying it. People who are sending me text, Facebook messages and posting on my author page and on my personal page, asking when the next book is going to come out. So after working for 3 months, I said, I'm going to write the next damn book. So I quit that job after only 3 months. I mean, I didn't really need the money. I was doing it because I was bored. And started writing the second book, which was Prince Commander. And that book is unique because it actually was, when I finished Prince Commander, it was close to 200,000 words, which is a big book. That's a David Weber size book. And I'm going, no, I can't. This is too big. So I actually split it in half. And Prince Commander, the first part of the book, I rewrote some middle sections to come up with a convenient cutoff point. And then the last half of the book became Prince Warleader, the third book in the series. So I got all that accomplished, did Prince Commander, came out in December the 30th of 2021, and sold very well. So took me, first book took me close to a year to write. Second book only took me, 7 months to write. The third book in the series, Prince Warleader, came out in May. So it was getting better. It was only, effectively 4 months in between those two books. And it sold great. And then, we've talked about how I decided to reached out to Chris Kennedy, asked him if he would be interested in taking my series on. He was. We pulled everything down. He re-edited and republished the first 3 books. And then in February of 22, Prince Peacemaker, the 4th book in the series, came out. There was quite a bit of gap between book 3 and book 4 because Chris wanted to redo the first 3 books. And the rest is history. So, Fred, how did you manage to create a series that people wanted to read? I mean, one of the things, I talked about a lot of things that have happened to me since the last time we visited. The first book, Prince Awakens, recently went over 2,500 reviews, which is a major accomplishment. I'm proud of it, obviously. If you go and you did a poll of authors, or you went in and did take a look at all the books that are online, on Amazon. I don't know what the exact number is, but a majority of books never get more than 100 reviews. Obviously, even fewer than that get more than 500, and the number that get up into the 2,500 range are even rare. So, how did I get there? And a lot of people ask me this, and I'm actually in the process of writing a how-to book, and I'm thinking, well, I know fellow authors who have sold a lot fewer books than I have that are, making money on writing and selling how-to books. Then why can't I do that? I created an iconic character. To me, characters are everything. Every story is character driven. You can have a lukewarm storyline and a great character can carry it and still sell a ton of books. On the opposite side, a great storyline with great, what I call wordsmithing. I mean, you may write the most beautiful prose in the world, but if you've got a character, if your star, your protagonist, is a wet noodle, it's not going to sell. So my feeling is you start with your character. Start with your main characters and oh, by the way, surround him with equally good supporting cast. Most of us are not Tom Hanks and can do a whole movie just by yourself, like in Castaway. Your star needs a strong supporting cast. So you create a character that people want to read. Okay, what story? Well, pick something, pick a storyline. In reality, I just wrote, I know I'm meandering a little bit, but I just had to update a biography, and it was for a convention that I'm going to, and they said, well, it can't be more than 100 words. So I'm reworking it, and I stumbled upon a phrase that I'm not really an author. I'm not really an author. I'm a storyteller, first of all, but I'm a ghostwriter. Every book, every story I've written has been from my character's point of view. My character, whether it's Hazard King in the Prince of Britannia series, Vicky Buckner in the first Solar War, trilogy, Julie Adams and Hiroku Kane and the others that are the stars of my newest series, Heroes of Britannia. I'm just writing their story. They tell me what to write. It's one of the reasons why I jokingly tell people when I first started writing the Prince of Britannia series, I only intended that to be like 3 books long, and I finally cut it off at 9. I actually could have written more, but I decided, nope, I need to make a clean break here before readers become tired of some of the characters or tired of the storyline. It's interesting. A friend of mine just published I think it's the 14th book in his series, and just came out, and his overall rating is still like 4.4. It's still early. He only has like 26 reviews. But he's gotten quite a few written reviews, and he's gotten 2 1-star reviews that both reviewers commented that the storyline was becoming stale. And that's the bane of every author, is worrying about, if you start writing an extended series, is the storyline getting stale? There are ways to change that, to change things up. Maybe you switch focus of the, and have a different antagonist. Because if you have the same hero and just give him different protagonists, that's not going to do it. Even David Weber has that problem. He's gotten a lot of feedback for his later honor books. So that's how I started. That's how I write. I create a character and then fit the story around him. When we come back from our last break, in the last segment, we're going to talk about what's next for me, where I'm going to be, and what's next for the show. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is The Next Chapter. Welcome back. Last segment of the show, folks. You only have to put up with me for a little while longer. So we talked about my theory on writing, and like I said, I'm working on a little short book on how I feel, my theory on creating a successful book series. And, oh, by the way, you need to have a series. Before I go too far into other things, you need to have a series. Writing one book, if you don't have a reputation yet, is not going to do it. Those days are over. So, what's next for me? Let's talk about what my schedule for the near future. On the 5th of February, from the 5th to the 9th of February, I'll be in Colorado Springs at the Superstars 2025 Writers Seminars. So if you're in the Colorado Springs area, come by and see me. If you're wondering how to find me, check the bar, because I'm likely that's where I'm going to be. Immediately after that, for my friends in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, on the weekend of Valentine's weekend, actually, and yes, the wife is upset about this, the 14th of February through the 16th of February, I'll be at FenCon, right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So check it out. I'll be there. I'll be on panels. I'll be selling books. A lot of great authors there. And one of my personal heroes, who I try to emulate in my writing, Jack Campbell, some people, AKA John Henry, is the guest of honor there. Tony Weiskopf, the publisher of Baen Books, is the Toastmaster, Master of Ceremonies, whatever the official title is, for the con. So there are a lot of fun people, and there are a lot of fun fun writers that are going to be there. Kevin Eikenberry, a friend who somehow convinced me to write an anthology with him, is going to be there giving a writing class, and nobody does it better than Kevin as far as wordsmithing is concerned. Mid-March, I'm only going to go that far out. Mid-March, I will be in Memphis at MidSouthCon. Same thing applies. I will be there in panels. I'll be there selling books. Again, easiest place to find me there is, if you don't see me in a panel, then come down to the dealer's room, because I have tables there. And love interacting with all of you. I actually don't get the tables to necessarily sell books, although that's nice. I prefer just to interact with you and, tell stories. If you haven't figured out, I like to tell stories. So the rest of it, I'm tentatively supposed to be in ConCarolinas in Charlotte in May. I will be at LibertyCon in Chattanooga the last part of June. ArmidilloCon in early September, and PCon, another local con here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in mid-September. So that's my schedule. Pretty ambitious for me because typically I only do 2 cons a year. So a lot more this year. As for other stuff, um, I'm not letting a spoiler out. Those of you that are fans of my writing, The Prince Awakens, the 9 books of The Prince Awakens, that series ended because I killed the prince. Yes, I did. I killed the hero in the series and started a new series with all the rest of the characters dealing with Hazard King, Prince Henry. Actually, by the time I wrote that book, he was Emperor Henry. I killed him off. So the follow-up series, Heroes of Britannia, deals with how all of his friends and enemies deal with him no longer being in the picture. And the second book in that series just came out on the 3rd of January. That's Prince Hero's Shadow. Chris Kennedy, my publisher, has the last book in the series, or excuse me, the 3rd book. I'm not saying the last book. The 3rd book in the series called Hero's Destiny. And that will be out on April the 3rd. I think that's the day, but it's the first Friday in April. And there will be at least 2 more books in that series. But once again, like I always say, characters drive my stories. So if the characters have stories to tell, that series might run a little longer. Right now, I'm doing something totally different. I'm writing a lit RPG book, which is that's like one of the hottest sci-fi subgenres right now, where it's almost like an RPG game, but it's written down. The characters, perform tasks or do things, and they add, their attributes or skills elevate. So just like you're playing a Dungeons and Dragon game, except it's a story and I'm writing it. And I'm like 45,000 words into that book. So the way I write, I should be done within a month or so. And we'll see if Chris wants to publish that. Not sure. If not, I'll publish it myself. Done it before. We'll do it again. So working on a lit RPG. Obviously, I'm back to doing these shows. What else? Finally got my 2024 Imagine Award. I mentioned it on the show before that I won an award from the for Best Science Fiction Novel of 2024 from Imagine. During the time I was away, I also won an award from Chris Kennedy Publishing for top author in 2024. So, hey, I actually have trophies on my bookshelf now, as well as, #1 sellers, which 4 of my last 5 books have been #1 sellers in their category. Not best new book, but #1 in the category. Which is another ego stroke. All right. Thanks for sticking around. I think this worked out a lot better into the new situation. I look forward to having a guest next week or the next show. Just waiting for him to say yes. And if not, I have somebody else lined up behind him. So thanks for staying. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next show. I'm Fred Hughes, and this has been The Next Chapter. See you next.